Okay, so let's good afternoon to everyone. Okay, so let's start this today's session. In the last session, we have finished with the problems on first law of thermodynamics, right? In the last lecture, we have finished with the problems on first law of thermodynamics. Okay, so that was basically module number 1. So in module number 1, we have seen zeroth law of thermodynamics, right? So zeroth law of thermodynamics was having some disadvantages, or you can say some limitations. That is the reason why we have seen first law of thermodynamics, right? Again, first law, it is having some limitations. That is the reason why we have seen. Now we are going to see the second law of thermodynamics. Okay, if you talk about the zeroth law was talking only about the temperature. It was only giving the idea about the temperature. It was not giving the idea about amount of heat transfer, amount of work transfer, right? So that was not given in the zeroth law. That is the reason why we have studied zeroth law, right? So in zeroth law we have studied. Okay, zeroth law. After that we have studied. Sorry, first law, right? See, let me brief you. In this module number 1, initially we have started with the zeroth law. Okay, but zeroth law was talking only about the temperature. Okay, it was not talking about a rate of heat transfer, rate of work transfer. So that is the reason why we have learned the first law. So in the first law, we have learned, okay, how to calculate amount of heat transfer, how to calculate amount of work transfer, that we have learned. Okay, but still it is having some disadvantages. Okay, so there are some disadvantages, or you can say the limitations of first law. That is the reason why we need to go for the second law of thermodynamics. Second law of thermodynamics. Okay, see, if you see the first law we have seen it for initially for closed system, and then we have seen it for open system, right? First law we have seen it for closed system. Again, in closed system we have seen two types. One, it is cycle, and second is non-cycle. Okay, so for cycle it was saying that, okay, amount of heat transfer, it is equal to amount of work transfer. Okay, see, if I just need to highlight here. Okay, zeroth law was only talking about the temperatures. Zeroth law was only talking about the temperatures, right? After that, we have seen the first law. Okay, after that, we have seen the first law. Okay, first law, we have seen it initially for closed system, and then we have seen it for open system, right? For closed system, again, we have seen it for cyclic process, and we have seen it for non-cyclic process, right? So for cyclic process, it was saying that amount of heat transfer is equal to amount of work transfer. Okay, entire heat gets converted into work, entire work gets converted into heat. This was for a cycle. For non-cycle, it was says that there is a difference between heat and work, and that difference was given by change in internal energy. So this was for non-cyclic process, right? Now, when we go to the open system, okay, it was saying that we have seen the steady flow energy equation. Steady flow energy equation. In the last lecture only we have solved a problem on it. So what it was saying, okay, difference, okay, Q minus W is given by m dot delta Ke plus delta Pe plus delta H. Okay, so this is the first law of thermodynamics for an open system, and that is nothing but a steady flow energy equation. That is nothing but a steady flow energy equation. Okay, but still it is having some disadvantages. Right? Okay, what is the disadvantages? It says that heat gets converted into work. Total heat gets converted into work. Okay, right? So there are some disadvantages which are related or limitations of the first law. That is the reason why we need to go for the second law of thermodynamics. So first limitation of the first law. Okay, so what is the limitation of first law? It does not talk about the possible of conversion of energy from one form to another. Okay, let's say I supplied 10 kilowatt of heat. So out of that 10 kilowatt of heat, how much heat get converted into work? Okay, so how much it is possible? Out of 10 kilowatt input, how much we will get output? Okay, out of 10 kilowatt of the input, how much gets converted into output? Okay, so that is not been illustrated by the first law, right? So that is the reason why we need to go for the second law of thermodynamics. See, first law says that heat get directly converted into work or work get converted into heat. Okay, for the closed system. And for open system, for non-cyclic, it says that there is a difference between heat and work, and that difference is given by change in internal energy, right? So this is what it says, right? So how much heat get converted into work, how much works get converted into heat, it is not been seen here. Okay, so that is the reason why we need to go for the second law. Okay, so in order to see the second law, okay, there are two statements of the second law. First statement, it is given by Kelvin Planck's. Try to understand. First statement, it is given by Kelvin Planck statement. Okay, so it is given by Kelvin Planck's. That's why it is called as Kelvin Planck statements. Okay, see, I will just explain you in simple what this Kelvin Planck says. Kelvin Planck say that no engine is 100% efficient. Simple. Okay, I just write down this statement. Okay, no engine is 100% efficient. Okay, this is a simple meaning of the Kelvin Planck's. No engine is 100% efficient. Okay, so you will get the efficiency of engine always less than 100, right? Okay, that means what? You are not able to convert total input into output. Okay, you will not get output equal to input. If output is equal to input, then your efficiency is equal to 100%, and that is not possible, right? So this is what the Kelvin Planck statement says. So no engine is 100% efficient. Okay, so see how to explain this. Okay, so let's consider this engine. Okay, let us consider this engine, right? This is engine. Just remember these terms. Okay, see, this is engine. Okay, E, it is given by engine. Okay, so see, as naturally the heat flows from what? Naturally the heat flows from high temperature to low temperature. So this engine, it operates between two temperature. Okay, so let this be T1 and let this be T2. Engine operates between two temperature, T1 and T2. Okay, and what we are doing is temperature of the T1 is greater than temperature of T2, right? Temperature T1 is greater than temperature T2. Okay, so what will happen? The heat will flow from higher temperature to lower temperature. So heat will flow from higher, that is, it will flow from T1 to T2. Okay, so this is the way with which the heat will flow. So heat will flow from higher temperature to lower temperature. So heat will flow from T1 to T2 because T1 is greater than T2. Naturally, heat flows from high to low. So heat will flow from T1 to T2, right? So see, during the heat flow, what happens? Okay, the engine, this engine, which is in associated with the temperature T1, it receives Q1 amount of heat. Try to understand. The engine E receives Q1 amount of heat from the source. I'll just call this as a source because from the source we used to receive the heat. Okay, so Q1 is the amount of heat received from the source which is at a temperature T1. Okay, so out of that Q1, what this engine will do? Out of that Q1, engine will convert some amount of heat into work. Okay, out of this Q1, engine will convert some amount of heat into work, and some heat it will reject to the sink which is at a temperature T2, right? See, this is engine which receives Q1 amount of heat from the source which is at a temperature T1, and it rejects Q2 amount of heat to the sink which is at a temperature T2. Okay, and how much heat it will work it will produce? So it will produce work W is equal to Q1 minus Q2. Right? See, what is the purpose of the engine? The purpose of the engine is to convert heat into work. Right? The purpose of the engine is to convert heat into work. So this is the engine, okay, which receives Q1 amount of heat and it rejects Q2 amount of heat, and how much work it produced. So work produced will be obviously equal to amount of heat supplied minus amount of heat rejected. Amount of heat rejected. Now try to understand. Okay, see, when value of Q2 is less, okay, when the value of Q2 is less, obviously more work will be produced. See, what do you mean by Q2 is less? When you reject less amount of heat, then more work will be produced. Is that okay? So efficiency, okay, see, if I ask you to write down the formula for efficiency, what is the efficiency of engine? Formula for efficiency of engine is given by, okay, work done upon heat supplied. Formula for efficiency of engine is work done upon heat supplied, right? Basically, efficiency is given by output. Okay, output divided by input. Output for the engine will be work, shaft work, shaft work. Engine is producing a shaft work, so that is output. Upon input, okay, input to the engine is heat. So we are supplying Q1 amount of. So formula for W is, okay, Q1 minus Q2 by Q1. Okay, so efficiency of engine is given by okay, 1 minus Q2 by Q1. 1 minus Q2 by Q1. Right? Now see, as I told you, if you want to increase the efficiency of engine, try to understand. If you want to increase the efficiency of engine, obviously this term Q2, okay, this has to be decreased. Right? So when amount of heat rejected get decreased, try to understand. When this decreases, this term decreases. See, when Q2 decreases, Q2 by Q1 decreases. And as Q2 by Q1 decreases, obviously 1 minus Q2 by Q1 again decreases. Right? When Q2 by Q1 decreases, see, when Q2 decreases, Q2 by Q1 decreases. As a result, 1 minus Q2 by Q1 decreases. As a result, what happens? The efficiency get increased. Okay, so this is the method with which we can increase the efficiency, right? So for getting a maximum efficiency, minimum amount of heat should be rejected. When minimum amount of heat is rejected, then only you will get a maximum efficiency. Is it okay? Is it okay? Is it okay or not? Let me know. Yeah. Okay. Now see, I will just draw now the wrong diagram. Okay, I will just draw now the wrong diagram. Okay, you can see. I will just draw the wrong diagram. Okay, this is source. Okay, which is at a temperature T1. Okay, this is the engine. Okay, and this is sink. Okay, which is at a temperature T2. Okay, now if somebody says that this engine receives Q1 amount of heat, okay, and it does not reject any heat. Okay, so whatever amount of heat that it receives, it directly gets converted into work. Okay, if somebody says that, okay, the engine receives Q1 amount of heat, and whatever amount of heat it receives, okay, that same amount heat convert into work. Okay, then in such case, what could be the efficiency? Efficiency is given by work done upon heat supplied. Work done is W. Okay, upon heat supplied is what? Heat supplied is Q1. So W is nothing but Q1. So Q1 by Q1, and it is equal to 1. You're getting efficiency as 1. Okay, so if you say that, okay, so if such is the case, right? So this is not possible. Try to understand. This is not possible. No engine is 100% efficient. See, this is a wrong diagram. Okay, that is the reason why purposefully I made this diagram. Okay, this is wrong. If you want, I will just highlight it. This is wrong. Okay, no engine is 100% efficient. See here, what you're getting Q2 equal to 0. There is no heat rejected. No heat is rejected. Total heats get converted into work. Okay, whatever amount of heat it receives, it gets converted into work, and this is not possible. Is it okay? Then what is possible is this. Okay, at least minimum some amount of heat should be rejected. Okay, is that okay?
Yes, sir.
You understood this diagram, Amma?
Yes, sir.
Okay with this diagram? Okay, so this is first statement. Okay, that is given by Kelvin Planck. So what Kelvin Planck says? No engine is 100% efficient. Okay, that is the first statement what we are drawing. Now let us see now the second statement. Okay, let us go now to the second statement. And second statement, it is given by clauses. Okay, second statement is given by clauses. So we used to call this as a clauses statement. Okay. See again, I will just explain you in a simple. Okay, heat flows naturally from low temperature to high temperature to low temperature. Okay, I'll just mention here, naturally heat flows naturally heat flows from higher temperature to low temperature Okay, so this is the case. Okay, so when heat flows from higher temperature to lower temperature, when heat flows from higher temperature to low temperature, you can say, just see this diagram. Heat is flowing from higher temperature to lower temperature, and if such is the case, what happens? Power produces. Okay, so power produces. Okay, so when heat get transferred from higher temperature to lower temperature, or when heat flows from higher temperature to lower temperature, power get produced. So power gets produced. Okay, exactly reverse case will happen. Right? So okay, but I'll just mention here, but when heat flows from lower temperature, see, we are going against the nature. Okay, naturally what happens? The heat flows from higher temperature to lower temperature. Okay, so when heat flows from higher temperature to lower temperature, power gets produced. Okay, but when we will execute a exactly reverse process or opposite process, when we'll execute, okay, when we'll execute a reverse process, what happens? Okay, that means when we want the heat to flow from lower temperature, okay, to higher temperature, okay, that means we are going against the nature, right? We want the heat to flow from lower temperature to higher temperature. Okay, in such case, okay, power will be consumed. Try to understand. So in such case, power will be consumed. Is it okay? Have you understood? See, you can see here in this diagram, when the heat flow from higher temperature to lower temperature, heat it is flowing from T1 to T2. So in such case, what is happening? Power gets produced, and that is basically done by engine. Okay, that is being done by the engine. Okay, so who produces the power? Try to understand. Who produces the power? The power is being produced by the heat engine. Who produces the power? The power is being produced by the engines, right? Now, when you want the reverse case, when we want the heat to flow from lower temperature to higher temperature, then in such case, the power will be consumed. Okay, and such devices are called as reversed. I'm just putting only one word, reversed. Okay, reversed heat engine. Try to understand. Okay, just put one word, reversed. In heat engine, heat will flow from high to low. But in reverse heat engine, heat will flow from low to high. And that is the only difference. Okay, so if you just take the examples like refrigerator, it is nothing but a reverse heat engine, where heat flows from lower temperature to higher temperature. Okay, we will be taking the problem on that. Okay, need not to worry about, but just try to understand these two words. When heat flow from high to low, the power gets produced, and heat engine is a device which produces a power. But when we want a reverse thing, that means when we want the opposite thing, when we want the heat to flow from lower temperature to high temperature, in such case, power gets consumed. That means we need to supply the power. And such devices are called as reverse heat engine. Okay, let me explain you. Okay, with the diagram. Okay, so let us consider this one. Okay, so let this be a T1. You know that T1 is greater than T2. Okay, let this be a T2. Okay, let this be a T2. Try to understand. This is T1, this is T2. Obviously, okay, you can see T1 is greater than T2. Now what we'll do, okay, now we want the heat to flow from lower temperature to, okay, higher temperature. That means we want something like this. Okay, we want something like this. Try to understand. We want the direction of heat flow in upward direction. See here, heat, it is naturally flowing from high to low. When it flow from high to low, power gets produced. Now we want opposite thing. We want the heat to flow from low to high. When the heat will flow from low to high, power gets consumed. Try to understand. Power gets consumed. Okay, and such devices are called as reverse heat engine. Okay, so I will indicate reverse heat engine, okay, like this. Try to understand. See, this is reverse heat engine. When it was engine, like it was E, okay, because it was from high to low. Now here it is from low to high. That's why it is written as like this. So this is reverse heat engine. Okay, so see, now just pay the attention. If you want this reverse heat engine, to abstract Q2 amount of heat, okay, this reverse heat engine will abstract Q2 amount of heat only and only when you supply W amount of work. See, this reverse heat engine will abstract, or you can say it extracts, okay, abstract or extracts Q2 amount of heat only and only when you supply W amount of work or power. Okay, so until and unless you supply the power here, okay, that means until and unless power gets consumed, okay, this reverse heat engine will not abstract Q2. Okay, so when you supply W, then only it will abstract Q2. As a result, it will deliver Q1. Okay, how much it will deliver? Q1, because with respect to T1, it will deliver Q1, and Q1 is given by, Q1 is nothing but the addition of Q2 plus W. Q1 is given by addition of Q2 plus W. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. See, this reverse heat engine will not abstract Q2 until and unless you supply W. So once you supply W, it will abstract Q2. So it will reject addition of Q2 plus W. It will reject how much? Addition of Q2 plus W. And Q2 plus W addition, we will call it as Q1, right? So this is the statement of the Clausius statement. Okay. So this is what the Clausius statement says. When you need to transfer the heat from low temperature to high temperature, you need to supply some work input. Okay, that means the power gets consumed, right? So, okay, so heat will be transferred from low temperature to high temperature only and only when you supply the work input. Okay, so without work input, power will not be get transferred from low temperature to high temperature. Now let us evaluate the performance, right? See, we have evaluated the performance of the engine by using efficiency. Okay, now if you just try to calculate the efficiency for this one, okay, it's not feasible. Okay, it's not feasible. Because why it's not feasible? You can say that for engine, okay, for engine, what is input? Input, it is work. Okay, and what is output? Output is a heat, right? Q2 plus W, right? So you're getting efficiency more than that, more than 100%. See, try to understand. If you try to calculate efficiency of this reversed heat engine, I'll just write down efficiency of reversed heat engine. Efficiency of reversed heat engine. How will you calculate efficiency of reversed heat engine? Okay, it's output. What is the output? Output is given by Q1 upon what is the input? Input is a work. Input is a work. But you might find that, see, this denominator, it is greater than numerator. Denominator, this Q1, because Q1, it is nothing but addition of Q2 plus W. Q2 plus W upon W, right? So when you calculate it, you will find that you are getting efficiency greater than 1. It's not possible, right? It's not possible. Is it okay or not? See, if you try to calculate the efficiency, what is the efficiency? Output by input. So output is Q1 upon input is work, that is W. So it will come as Q2 plus W by W. Okay, so you will get efficiency, greater than 1. So this formula will not work. Okay, so in such case, what we need to do is we need to calculate COP. Try to understand. In such case, we need to calculate COP, and COP, it is called as, I just mentioned here, COP, it is called as coefficient of performance. COP, it is called as coefficient of performance. COP, it is called as coefficient of performance, and that is indicated by COP. COP is nothing but coefficient of performance. So what is the formula for COP? I'll just write down. Formula for COP is given by, it says that desired effect upon work input. Okay, desired effect upon work input. So formula for COP is desired effect upon work input, right? So see, there might be some, you might be confusing what is desired effect. Okay, that I will let you know, not a problem. So I'll just write down COP is equal to, okay, desired effect. I'll just write down it as it is. Desired effect as it is, I will write down, okay, upon work input. Input is W, right? We have supplied W as a work input. So that I will write. Let us see here, all of it. Yeah. Right? Desired effect you don't know. Okay, I will tell you. Okay, now see, we see this particular device. Okay, if you just see this particular device, it is called as this particular device. It is called as reverse heat engine. Right? See here only I written reverse heat engine. This is called as reversed heat engine. Reversed heat engine. See, because see the heat engine. What is heat engine? High to low. High to low is a heat engine. But here it is low to high. That's why it is a reverse heat engine. Now try to understand. Reverse heat engine. Now see, this is very important. Okay, see, reversed heat engine. Reversed heat engine. Okay, it can be. Okay, either it can be either refrigerator. Try to understand. It can be either refrigerator or it can be either heat pump. Okay, try to understand. The heat engine, reverse heat engine, it can be either refrigerator or it can be heat pump. Okay, so as you know, the purpose of the refrigerator is to cool. Okay, so in the refrigerator we are interested in cooling, right? But if you go for the heat, okay, now let us see here. Now let us see here, all of you. Now see, there are two terms. One is Q2 and second is Q1. Okay, one is Q2 and second is Q1. Okay, so whether you select Q2 or whether you select Q1, it will depends whether you are getting cooling or whether you are getting heating. I repeat, there are two terms. One is Q1 and second is Q2. Okay, when to select Q2, when to select Q2 based on heating or cooling. Now tell me, out of Q2 and Q1, which will give me the cooling? Which term will give me the cooling? Which is cooler one and which is hotter one? Whether Q2 is cool or Q1 is cool. Can anybody tell me? Which is cooled? Which is cooled? Can anybody tell? Which is cooler one? Whether Q2 is cooled or Q1 is cooled. See, out of these two, one will be cooled and one will be hot, right? So out of Q1 and Q2, which is cooled and which is hot? Can anybody tell?
Sir, Q2 is cool and Q1 is hot.
Exactly. See, why Q2 is cool, na? Because it is related with low temperature. See, Q2, it is related with low temperature. You can see this T1 is greater. Okay, T1 is greater than T2. So with respect to T1, Q1 is associated. So obviously this will be hotter. With respect to T2, Q2 is associated. Obviously this will be cooler, right? Because Q2 it is related with T2, which is less than T1. Okay. So this Q2 will give me cooling upon W. Okay, Q2 by W. Is that okay? Yes or no?
Yes,
Is it clear or not? Okay. So if you calculate COP of refrigerator, if you calculate the COP of refrigerator is given by now see one formula I'm writing is given by Q2 Q2 upon W. Can I write down W as Q1 minus Q2? I'll just write down W as Q1 minus Q2. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, W I have written as Q1 minus Q2, right? Let us go here. Let us go here. Let us go for this heating, right? Let us go for heating. Now I'll just write down here, okay, COP of heat pump. See how written COP of heat pump. So in heat pump, what we want heating. In heat pump, we want heating upon W, right? See, COP of heat pump I'm writing. For heat pump, desired effect is heating upon work done is W. Okay. So is given by, now see, if Q2 is giving cooling, obviously Q1 will give you heating, right? So it is Q1 by W. Okay. Q1 by W. So I'll just write down COP of heat pump is equal to, okay, Q1 upon what is W? Okay, what is W? Q1 minus Q2. So W is Q1 minus Q2. Okay, yes or no? Have you understood this one? Is it okay or not? Let me know.
Yes,
is
sir.
it okay or not? Okay, so see, try to understand. See, I'll just come back to this page. When heat flows from high temperature to low temperature, work gets produced. Okay, now when you want to achieve a reverse thing, that means when you want the heat to flow from low temperature to high temperature, work gets consumed, and for such devices it is impossible to calculate the efficiency because it is going greater than 1. That is the reason why we are calculating the coefficient of performance, right? So coefficient of performance, basically it will be the ratio of what desired effect you want divided by what input you are given. So okay, input we have given depends upon whether it's a refrigerator or it is heat pump. When it's a refrigerator, we are interested in cooling. So Q2 will give me cooling. Whenever it's a heat pump, the desired effect is heating. So Q1 will give me heating, right? Now in the denominator, I put the value of W as Q1 minus Q2. So this is the equations I got for getting the COP of refrigerator and heat pump.
Sir, one doubt, sir.
Yeah, is that okay?
Sir, one doubt.
Yeah, sure. Yes.
Sir, in the reverse heat engine, you said that reverse engine is acting upon to convert, to transfer heat from that T2 to T1.
Yes.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
You said the purpose of that reverse engine is to, change the heat. On the other hand, it's acting more compensator, na? Like the extra work that we
Actually,
are
can
adding
you
up.
repeat? Your voice is breaking. Can you repeat? Your voice is breaking.
Sir, sir, can you just drag the paper a little lower?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Sir, in that diagram, you said heat must flow from one system to the other one, right?
Yeah. See, naturally, it should flow
Reverse heat
from
engine.
T1 to T2. It should flow from T1 to T2, right? But here we are doing reverse thing.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes.
So the purpose of reverse heat engine is to transfer heat from lower to higher, right?
Yes, exactly.
But on the other hand, sir, if we look at the equation, that is Q1 is equal to Q2 plus W, the reverse heat engine is acting more of like a compensator, na, sir? Actually, no transfer
No. How it is? See, let
temperature
me
is
clear it.
taking place. Heat is taking place.
See, this is a reverse heat engine, right? So what this reverse heat engine is doing,
Yes, sir.
it is abstracting the heat from low temperature body, right? It is abstracting the heat from the body which is at lower temperature. So it will abstract only and only when the W is supplied. So obviously when this Q2, when it is added to W, then only that will be rejected. See, in refrigerator, I will give you a simple example. Refrigerator. In refrigerator, when you put any object inside a refrigerator, what happens? Q2 amount of heat get abstracted from that object. Try to understand. What happens? Q2 amount of heat get abstracted from that particular object. Is it clear? When you put any atoms in the refrigerator,
Sir,
Q2, yeah. Yeah. So that much amount of heat get abstracted from the atoms. And how much heat gets released to the atmosphere? That is Q2 plus W. So when you see at the back of the refrigerator, you might find some temperature. Okay. You might find some like hotter fluid there. Right. So that is the reason. Yes.
Okay, sir.
Understood, na? See, this amount of
Yes,
heat,
sir.
it is abstracted from the food atoms which are kept in the refrigerator. Okay, and this is the heat which is rejected to the atmosphere. So if you just see at the back of the refrigerator, you might feel some like hot air, right? Hot air you will find,
Yes, sir.
right? Yeah. Now see, interestingly, see there is a relation between some COP of heat pump and refrigerator. There is some relation. Okay, so I'll just try to derive it. So COP of heat pump, you can say, what is the formula? It is Q1 by W. Q1 by W. See COP of heat pump, it is given by Q1 by W. Okay. Now see here, if you just see here, so I'll just write down here, COP of heat pump is given by, now Q1. What is Q1? It is Q2 plus W. Try to understand. It is Q2 plus W by W. See here what I've done, I have put the value of W. Here in both the formula, I have put the value of W, right? But here I will do, I will put the value of Q1. I will put the value of Q1. Okay, I will keep the W as it is. I will put the value of Q1. So Q1 you can see Q2 plus W, right? So if you just see this one, what you will get? You will get, okay, I'll just write down COP of heat pump is equal to Q2 by W plus 1. Is that okay? Q2 plus W by 1. Is it okay or not? So
Yes, sir.
COP of heat pump is given by, now what is Q2 by W? Okay, you can see Q2 by W, it is nothing but COP of refrigerator, right? Q2 by W, it is nothing but COP of refrigerator, okay, plus 1. Okay, so we have reached with some expression for the COP of heat pump. So COP of heat pump will be always 1 greater than COP of heat pump. COP of heat pump, it is always greater than 1 greater than COP of refrigerator. COP of heat pump, it is always 1 greater than COP of refrigerator. Okay, so from where we got it? COP of heat pump is Q1 by W. I've written Q1 by W. Now formula for Q1 is Q2 plus W, that is written divided by W. So COP of heat pump is Q2 by W plus 1. Okay, so this is COP of refrigerator plus 1. So COP of heat pump, it is 1 greater than COP of refrigerator. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Good, okay. Now see, as like Kelvin Planck statement, I also shown you one wrong diagram. Similar exercise I will repeat here. Similar exercise I will repeat here. I'm telling you now, whatever I'm drawing, it's a wrong. Whatever I'm drawing, it's a wrong. Okay, you can say this. See, this is temperature T1. Okay, this is temperature T2. Okay, now what? This is reverse heat engine. This is reverse heat engine, which will abstract Q2. Okay, so this reverse heat engine will abstract Q2 without any work input. Try to understand. There is no any work input. I'll just write down here. Okay, there is no any work input. Okay, so this reverse heat engine will abstract. Okay, this reverse heat engine will abstract Q2 without any work input. Okay, so how much it will deliver? It will deliver, okay, Q1. It will directly deliver Q1. See, with respect to T2, it will abstract Q2. With respect to T1, it will deliver Q1. And this Q1 is directly equal to Q2. Right? You can see here. Just see this above diagram. See, Q2 is there, Q2 is there, right? But here W was supplied. When W was supplied, what it is getting? Q2 plus W. Okay, but here W is not supplied. So this is Q2 plus 0. Q2 plus 0, right? Because there is no any work. If you want, I will just write down Q2 plus 0. There is no any work. So what this reverse heat engine indicates? This reverse heat engine, okay, will abstract Q2 amount of heat without any work input, and it will reject Q1 amount of heat that is directly equal to Q2. So this is not possible. This is not possible. Okay, so I'll just make it. See, this is not possible. Okay, this is not possible. Because what this device is doing, this device is transferring the heat from low temperature to high temperature without any work input. Okay, it is not taking any work input, right? So this diagram is a wrong diagram. Okay, have you understood or not? Let me know. Have you understood this one or not?
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
so if you just one, this is wrong diagram. This is wrong. Okay, see, I'm still making a wrong diagram. You might feel that, sir, why you're then drawing a wrong diagram? You should understand it. What is the correct and what is the wrong? See, this is a wrong diagram because this diagram indicates that this reverse heat engine transfer the heat from low temperature to high temperature, okay, without any work inputs. Okay, and this is not possible. See, when you need to transfer from low to high, obviously there is some work input. Otherwise, it will not happen. Right? So this is a wrong diagram. Okay, so see what we have basically started. We have started with the okay, as I told you, we have started with the zeroth law. Okay, what zeroth law says? The zeroth law was talking only about the temperatures. If you talk about the first law was only talking about heat and work. It was not talking about, okay, what does it says? Heat gets converted into work. But how much heat gets converted into work? Okay, so there is a concept of efficiency which was not introduced in the first law. Okay, so that is the reason why we need to go for the, okay, we need to go for the second law. So second law, obviously it talks about the efficiency. It talks about the performance of the engines. Okay, whether it's a heat engine or whether it's a reverse heat engine. Okay, so the second law of thermodynamics, it talks about the performance of the engine. That means it talks about the efficiency on COP. Okay, so you can convert heat into work. Okay, but how much you can convert? How much? Out of 50 heat supplied, how much heat get converted into work? Whether out of 50, 30 gets converted into work, or whether gets 40 get converted into work. Okay, so if 40 gets converted, then 40 by 50 is the efficiency. If 30 gets converted, then 30 by 50 is the efficiency, right? So the second law is more talking about the efficiencies, whether it's an engine or whether it's a reverse engine. Okay, so have you understood this one? Is it okay? Is it okay or not? Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now see. Now see all of you. I've said this diagram as a wrong. Okay, I just said this diagram as a wrong. Okay, all of you see this one. First diagram. This diagram indicates that the engine converts. This engine converts whatever amount of heat it receives into work. Okay, so the engine which converts, okay, whatever amount of heat it receives into work, such machine, okay, such machine it is called as, okay, I will just write it down as such machine, it is called as perpetual motion machine. Okay, such machine it is called as perpetual motion machine. Try to understand. Perpetual motion machine is a machine which converts entire heat receives into work. Okay, and see, I'm telling you, this machine does not exist. Such machine does not exist. There is no any machine which can convert such heat in total amount of heat received into work. Okay, as I told you, this is the wrong diagram, or this is not possible. So such sort of machine it is called as perpetual motion machine. Now question will be, sir, you said that this is a wrong diagram. You are telling that such machine it is called as perpetual motion machine, and still you are saying that such machine does not exist. Then why we are learning it, right? So see, we are not able to achieve, or we are not able to achieve the develop such machine, okay, but we can move close to such machine. Okay, see, it is not possible to get 100% efficiency, But if you are getting 60% efficiency, by doing certain modification, you can improve it to 65, you can improve it to 70, you can improve it to 75, like that. Okay, so have you understood this perpetual motion machine? This is called as perpetual motion machine 1. Entire heat receives into such machine, it is called as perpetual motion machine. So the machine which converts entire heat receives into work, such machine which is not possible, such machine it is called as perpetual motion machine 1. And as I told you, it's a fictitious machine. So it is impossible to develop such machine, but we can develop such devices close to such machine. Okay, so this is called as perpetual motion machine 1. Now see, this is one more diagram which I said you to be a wrong. Okay, so what this diagram indicates, you can transfer the heat from low temperature to high temperature without any work input. So you can transfer the heat from low temperature to high temperature without any work input, which is not possible. Okay, but there is some machine, okay, which is called as perpetual motion machine 2. I'll just mention here perpetual motion